Hey, this is Quake, man. Going to give a word of warning. I'm dealing with a bit of a sickness, so I'm very sorry if my voice sounds a bit harsh, hoarse, or whatnot, a little gunk, things like that, common cold, whatever the sort. This is going to be a quick little video of a discussion that I'm going to put out because I missed it live because I was working. But the Quake Champions Twitch channel did their live stream from PAX, and they did a couple of announcements there. And I've been trying to pay attention to the stream because that's where they show their announcements, and I'm trying to do some daily videos Quake Champions like as much as I can. So at this event, while they're at PAX, they did knock down a couple of announcements that I think were pretty interesting. The first thing was in my last video that I made, I talked about ideas they could put out with characters and weapon skins. Well, they got one of the weapon skins that I talked about, and that is the Super Shotgun from Quake 2. They're calling it the Trespasser. They showed a bit of a preview of it spinning around and zooming in at the stuff like that, but we didn't get to see it in action or the sound effects. But the fact that we're seeing the Quake 2 Super Shotgun, like, awesome. That was something I actually really wanted on top of some other things I took attention to in my video. So that was the first thing that they talked about, was that skin coming back. Then they started talking about some game types that they're going to be throwing into the game. I don't know if these are things that are going to be thrown into the game at the update that's coming around, or these are things that they're working on that they're showing off. But the ones they talked about was they're bringing in Team Instagib, because there's been people who've complained that they wanted to play Instagib with their friends, but they can't because free-for-all won't allow the party, which is understandable. So now they're going to bring in Team Instagib, where it's going to be 4v4 Instagib, all that goodness. They're going to bring in a rocket launcher version of Instagib called Hot Rockets, and they describe it as rockets will do triple damage, and every champion, no matter who you play as, will all have Ranger's passive, so you don't take self-damage, so you can rocket jump and avoid rockets and stuff like that. So it'll be a little bit different than Instagib, but it'll be more interesting. Plus, personally, this will make getting rocket launcher god medals a whole lot easier. I'll just say that. But that's one mode they're coming out. There's another one that they called Holy Trinity, which the only thing I can assume that it has rocket launcher, railgun, and the lightning gun that you'll have at all times, and it's just team deathmatch with those items. It seems like quad damage and protection still spawns in, so it's basically team deathmatch, but you have three of the power weapons at all times. Cool, I guess. Mystery Champion. Self-explanatory. There's nothing else to explain when it comes to Mystery Champion. It's you play as a champion of random choice, and if you die, you play as another champion of random choice. Pretty self-explanatory. But they're calling that as the Quake Champions arcade mode, which I know some people are going to deem that as trying to take a riff at Overwatch, and they most likely are. But hey, you know what? If it works for Quake Champions, it works for Quake Champions. I get the upset if it exists, because I haven't checked forums enough to really see any responses. There probably is, but I'm speculating without proof. But they did talk about two specific modes that they're going to be adding to the game. One of which we've already known, that I've talked about before, which is CTF. They're bringing CTF back. Awesome. I'm very happy about it. The map they showed, they said it was a new map entirely, but it seems like it's referencing a map from the Quake 3, the Quake Live days. I forget the name they said, and I just watched the stream like 5 minutes ago. But they said it was a good reference point to that map. But it's a brand new map entirely. It's not a reference to any maps from Quake 3 Arena or whatnot. But the mode that they announced that they're going to be adding into, because they're trying to add more team games into it. And this is the one that I find to be a bit questionable, to be honest. I'm not against them trying new ideas, because I know Team Arena added things like Harvester and Overlord, which I think no one ever played, but I thought they were pretty intriguing modes for the time. But it's called Slipgate, and the best way I can describe it is it's a team battle 4v4 where you have one life, and one team attacks and one team defends, where you're basically trying to open up a slip gate. and that's like almost Counter-Strike Siege-esque kind of mode, where, or even Search and Destroy with Call of Duty. And those games can work it out because they're trying to have that tactical intervention going on. I don't think Quake Champions or arena shooters can really benefit that kind of mode, to be brutally honest. But, once they bring it out live, I'll give it a chance and give my opinions. I'll see how that feels, maybe in tandem. Because in my personal opinion, their first team mode that they released that I tested out called Sacrifice was dumb. And I have not checked how I don't even think you can play Sacrifice right now publicly. I think it's not fully out. But when it was in the beta, I despised Sacrifice. I didn't like the fact that when you capture the soul or whatever and put it on your totem, even if you're standing on your totem, an enemy can go into the totem and steal it within 3 seconds and be gone. That doesn't make sense to me. If you're on the totem, it should stop any enemy players from going to it. Now, if they've updated the game time since I've last played it long ago, then I will reject my opinion and then say maybe the game will be better. But when I first played it, Sacrifice was not fun or enjoyable to me. Hopefully the CTF will be interesting. Especially like I mentioned before when I was talking about characters they could add, how Sorlag and Slash can add denial, especially with some damages. I know their damage is minor, but that's the sort of thing I liked about their abilities, is because they can add different tactical interventions and tactics and things like that I think is pretty cool. Like, you can use Cerberon's charge to escape when you pick up the flag or something like that, or use Clutch to protect the flag carrier. Those are cool things. But yeah, so those are the two type of team modes that they're adding is Slipgate and CTF. I'll see with Slipgate to see how that feels when that gets released, which they talked about. I think it's going to be access on a PTS to all players who own the Champions pack in October or something like that, so you can test it out before it goes live. The final thing that they announced, and it's actually something I didn't expect them to throw out there. I actually kind of thought that they would tease it, but I didn't think they would actually say who it was. But they announced what the new champion is going to be. And the new champion is Athena. Now, I had to do some quick research because, to be honest, I've not heard that name before. So I know this sounds like another sting to my Quakeman persona name. But I did look it up really quickly, and what I found out is there was a toy line for it called the Jungle Marine Athena. It had a super shotgun in it. It had, oh god, I actually forget that enemy type. It's the dogs that like shoot that wire to try and steal your health. Oh, I'm an idiot. I should have prepared better. My fault. And it's basically a reference from that into this. I actually didn't know about the name Athena before. Maybe it's a skin in Quake 2 that I haven't seen before, but that's my own fault. But yeah, so basically they announced a new champion called Athena. She is basically, her ability is a grappling hook, which I think they're only doing that to respond to CTF, since CTF was known for the grappling hook as added in a lot of mods back in the Quake 1 and Quake 2 days. I never grew up in, I played Quake 1 and Quake 2 online, but I wasn't in that field. I was more in the Quake 3 Arenas field, so I can't give my experiences of those. But I do remember there being a lot of grappling hook mods for the CTF and things like that out there. Now, the only questions I have, though, is what would her passive be? Is she a light character? I almost feel like she would be, being the grappling hook, but she might be a medium character similar to Rangers and Death Knight. It seems like you can use her grappling hook multiple times, which makes me question maybe it's an ability that actually doesn't do any damage to the enemy team. Because most of the other abilities in the game at least does something to attacking the enemy team. Ranger Slipgate can damage the enemy. Cerberon's Bull Rush can, damage enemies if you run into them. Galena's Totem does damage as a proxy mine. So almost every ability that we have so far relatively does some form of damage to the enemy team or the enemy player, whatever it is, in some way. but it seems like her grappling hook only just grapples and gets her distance and speed, which is very good for movement, which I like, and makes me wonder if her ability has nothing to do with damaging the enemy, which means it's possible that her grappling hook has no cooldowns whatsoever and you can use it as many times as you want, or it has limited usage. I almost feel like they would do limited usage just so she can't just easily escape like a spider from every engagement. But I did see from what they showed in the stream that they did show her grappling hook multiple times. So it's either the cooldown is like kind of quick, like maybe 5 seconds, 10 seconds, or you can use it multiple times, similar to what Keel is, where you can shoot his grenade launcher multiple times, things like that. But that's what they announced of a new champion, so it's a reference to Quake 2, which I think is really cool. I really like the fact that they're throwing characters and stuff like that. Maybe they'll throw in characters that I kind of asked about in my thoughts about what they could add in terms of new champions and skins to the game. We'll have to wait and see. The actual true final thing that I will say, and obviously this only perpetrates to the video of when this is uploaded. As of September 2nd, be aware that by next week, which could be the September 8th or September 9th, because the stream was on September 1st, the Champions Pack, which is the pack that gets you all the champions and all future champions from this point onwards, is going to go up in price. From $30 to $40, so be aware of that increase. And if I remember correctly, they also mentioned that in the future, somewhere around October or something like that, the Champions Pack will fully disappear. It will never return. So I highly recommend that if you're someone that's interested in playing this game and you want to just have everyone right out of the gate without having to grind or whatnot, I highly recommend that you pay for the Champions Pack right out of the gate before it disappears entirely. I think it's worth the effort if you want to support the game. I understand if some people are still skeptical. That's understandable entirely. But I'm just signal boosting that in this video, although I understand it will be outdated by the time that date comes, because obviously that happens. But I'm putting that out there just so people know until that time comes. So be aware, September 8th, September 9th, it will go up in price, and later down the line, it will disappear entirely in 2018. So I'll leave it at that. So with that, that is it from what I've heard from the updates of the Quake Champions live stream and everything like that. Now, they did talk about the longest yard in that, but I will go more depth with that because I have a Quake Champions thought process about maps coming out soon. Whenever I get to record that, obviously I'm doing this now even though I'm sick, but once I'm not so sick, I want to have a better voice. But I will be doing a Quake Champions speculations for maps later down the line after they announce the longest yard. I will get that as soon as possible, and well, I'll end this video now. So thank you very much for watching. You guys have a wonderful day and take care.